Plastic model builders, welcome back. As promised, here is the review that we are going to do of the Revell 1/48 scale A-10 Warthog. Here's the plane. So let's get to it. The first thing about this model, you have to weight it down. If you do not weight it the nose down, it's going to tip over. Or you can put this little clear piece on the back, which is a little inconvenient. As you can see, we're just going to move this off to the side right here, and look at what happens. It dips down. We don't like that, so put some lead weight in the front. As you see in the videos, I used wax. It didn't work out very well at all because, well, just, I still had to use that plastic thing. So, with that said, this model has raised panel lines, which you all know we don't like, because if you have to sand anything down, you lose a lot of detail. There is a seam line on this plane that starts here and goes all the way down to right here, stops for this section, and then continues back down right here. As well, if you turn the model on this side, same panel line right down here, all the way down the middle. Not as bad on the back, a little worse on the top side because there's more detail that you're going to lose. One of the hardest things about this model was that seam line, because it didn't really want to fill in the way it was supposed to. So, I mean, they could have done a better job when they constructed this. The way these engines are constructed is not ideal as well. You have to either do everything ahead of time, paint them ahead of time, and then put them on, or put them on and tediously paint inside of here. Right there, it's not easy to reach with an airbrush. I was able to do it. You have to turn the model in all sorts of kooky positions just to make that work. You know, they definitely, it could have been easier if they did that in two pieces, maybe make a top or a bottom. Then, not to mention the fact that you have to sand here and here just to make it look good. So, that was another bad thing as well on the back right here. It's hard to get into that areas. I just left it because I fear this model's not being entered into any competitions, and it's just going to stand flat like this. Next thing is the Pitot Tube, which is right here. Be careful, it tends to break off. I got lucky, I kept mine on for most of the model. Keyword, most of the model, meaning it still broke off. Yes, it would be easier if they made that a separate piece that you could just put in later. That way you don't have to constantly move this model, and be careful not to break that thing off. Fortunately, mine did break. The camouflage. As you can see, it's a nice three-tone paint here. We've got two greens, a light green and a dark green, and as well as a dark gray color. The directions were not very clear on how to do that. I got really confused because the colors are all various shades of gray, so I would get them mixed and matched. As you can see in my previous videos, if you haven't seen those, go back to watch that when I paint some of this camo, and you'll see I make that mistake like over here. So I had to do a bunch of touch up and repaint over some things that I already painted because of that. So it's hard to differentiate the two different types of gray colors. The dark gray is easy to see. Paint wise, I used a pale green, thinking maybe that'd be a light green. It was not the same as what was on the box or as any picture that you could see. That was a Model Master Aqua color. You may want to get a different green than what I used, but that's what I had. And as well, the dark green, that came out nicely. I did like how everything came out when I feathered everything in. I'm happy with that. The canopy, the way that's designed is it it's molded into the model right here after the fact. So you either have to paint it all ahead of time and then put it on, then do a bunch of touch up around the edge right here because it was not a perfect fit, or you put it on and then you mask it off and leave it masked until the painting is finally done, which might also be a bit inconvenient. I didn't have a lot of trouble with the engines masking those off. I just stuck some paper inside of each one. They turned out fairly well, with the exception of the little crease right here and right here from where they go together. Let's talk about the underside. These wheel wells that we have right here, the way this was also designed, I found it easier to leave off this top part, then paint the underside of the wells white, then paint this top piece, the inside of those, paint those white as well, then glue them on, then do touch-ups later. For me, that was just easier to do. Each one is a different color, as you can see. We turn the plane over this way. We can see right here the instructions were not clear on how the landing gear went. These have to go basically right up towards the top. They meet up with everything. These go meet down right there, and there's also a small little one right down there for when these are folded in. You got two little hinges right here. Those were also very hard to get in there. It was not ideal. You just kind of have to place them in there and hope it works out for the best. So that's what we did here. The armament, as you can see, there are a lot of missiles and bombs and napalm containers. We have 6 of these. 6 AIM missiles, 2 napalm containers, and a bunch of cluster bombs. But remember, the cluster bombs, most of those are on my F-16 Falcon Thunderbird, which I turned into the Warbird version, which was the only armed fighter ever. Watch that video if you haven't seen it. I'm sure there will be like a little link over here that'll take you to that video. So watch that whole series. It was really good. But as you can see, I got 2 napalm containers on here. I got the fuel tank, the 6 AIM missiles, which were fairly easy to do. They have this little glass top on those, so be careful putting those on, not too hard to do. Front wheel, easy to put on. These wheels were fairly easy to put on as well. Always watch out for this. I put that on last. Make sure you put stabilizers in the right place. Mine are actually upside down on this model. I was too lazy to take them out. It affected how I had to put this on. I had to basically slide this on. When putting these on right here, your AIM missiles, you have to probably put the center one on first, then the 2 on the side meet up with them. I did mine in reverse because I wanted to have it lay flat first. Just a note, make sure you do it that way. The gun, if you want, if you have some small drill bits, you can drill out the holes like I did, and I gave it a little bit more detail. It's still hard to tell, but I did the best I could because it does get a little hollow inside of there. We didn't want to be totally see-through, but I got them all. I drilled even out all the way around here. I made these meet up with the fronts. You don't have to make them all line up because it is different. It's just a piece that's welded on when they make this plane. You got your little HUD display. Make sure you put that in on the right way. You got your pilot right here. I had to press this in and clamp it down with rubber bands to make sure that you had a firm meeting, so that's another con. Overall, it's a decent kit by Revell. You know, what do you expect for $20 to $30 wherever you are, whatever you're going to pay? If you like doing the A-10 Warthog, it has 2 paint schemes you can get. So I advise buying this model just for the fun of it. It's always good practice, good working with filler. And this is it. A-10 Warthog by Revell, 1/48 scale. We thank you for watching. Stay tuned for updates. Subscribe, that way you can see the latest videos, and give us some comments and likes. Until next time, when we take on the Corsair II. That's right, we've already done the Corsair 1. Time to do the Corsair 2. Different kind of jet. See ya.